the bowlers don't make use of the conditions, or the captain that wins and says, I'm going to bowl first or field first, and the bowlers don't actually get the wickets, the reality is it's going to be quite an interesting match. Tune to the leading edge with Scent, the pulse of cricket podcast. I'm Scent. Every week we bring you the stories, insights, and moments that drive this beautiful game. From the grassroots to the global stage, women's cricket, youth cricket, club heroes, and the stars lighting up international arenas. We've got it all. So hit the subscribe button and let's get straight into it. Welcome. This is Leading Edge with Scent. It's a cricket podcast. Basically, we're going to be talking about nothing but cricket, South African cricket, mostly, but every now and again we'll talk about international cricket. But it is going to just be about South African cricket. So Leading Edge is part of I'm not going to say conglomerate, but yes, we're part of Roundly podcast studios. So it's going to be an exciting project. About me, I'm a cricket writer. I currently started doing vlogs as well. So this is another extension where we're getting talking more about South African cricket. If you follow Scent, you know there's 4-6 out. And as well, I do a bit of coaching. And lastly, okay, before I start with that, let me just get into the Roundly part. It's a partnership between myself and Maddie, which is I'm excited about. And the funny thing is how we met. We met we met at was this Western Province Trials. So we were both selectors. And I didn't know this, but we actually knew each other before. We were actually LinkedIn connects. So we moved from LinkedIn connects and then we go meet in cricket. So now that we've met in cricket, and we actually had a good run at Western Province last year. We were picking the girls under 16 and girls under 19 teams, and both teams actually did well. I think the under 19s, if it wasn't for weather, they would have, I think, done much better. The under 16 girls team almost won the tournament, but again, they were also affected by weather. But it is what it is. So this week on the Leading Edge, we're going to discuss the Proteas. We have the Proteas men and the Proteas women. The men are in England currently, and then the women are actually already in Barbados. So the women will be playing 3 T20s and 3 ODI matches, and the men will be playing just one test match against England, which is the WTC. It's a final. Finals is finals. See who's the best out of the best. And then another last part we're going to speak about is CSA did release this week the test team that will be going to Zimbabwe. I think we're playing 2 test matches with Zimbabwe from the 28th of June. So right after this one, we'll get into that. So now we start with the men, because we're going to start with the men and then go with the women and then end up with the men again. There's a lot of craze right now in the country. WTC. Are we going to win it? I'm not sure. Can we win it? Obviously we can. I think we have the team. How good is Australia? This is not the strongest Australian side. Or maybe I can put it like this. South Africa, Australia, where we are very similar is within the bowlers. And what do I mean by that? I feel like we're actually par for par, we're the same. Let's start with the pace bowlers. You have Josh Hazelwood, who's very much like Kulungingit. And the funny thing is both of them played for the same IPL team, and while Ngidi came back early from the IPL, Josh Hazelwood stayed. But they both have the winners' medals. So it is what it is. So that was that. And then you have the leaders of the pace attack. You have Kagiso Rabata. And then you also have Pat Cummins, who's the captain of Australia. Similar. Both, you could say, they're the best bowlers in the world with Bumrah. So don't attack me. And then you also have another similarity, another big similarities. You also have Marco Jansen, and then you have Mitchell Stark, left arm, both tall. They quite similar. Now the only difference is obviously Marco Jansen can bat. Stark, you could say he can bat as well. He can hit a long ball, but he's not really in the team as an all-rounder. And then you have the spinners. South Africa, we have Keshav Maharaj. Australia has Nathan Lyon. So again, you could say I think that's where we are in terms of similarities, but at the same time, there's also similarities, I think, with the guys at the back. And what do I mean by that? Australia has Boland. He has been great for Australia. South Africa has Dane Patterson. He's been great as well. And in their last matches, one took a fifer and one took a fourfer. So you look at the bowling lineups, very similar. Where there are, where you could say maybe Australia has a one up over South Africa is that Australia has a generational player in Steve Smith. South Africa doesn't really have currently like a generational player batter, but you cannot say that we don't have talented batters because there's David Benningham, there is the captain Tema Bavuma, there is Aiden Markram, there's Stubbs, who's still growing, maturing his game. There's Ryan Rickleton, Tony DeZosi. I doubt he's gonna play. There's this thing in me that Tony DeZosi won't play, but he will play in the Zimbabwe series. And then Australia, obviously, they have Kawaja. So in terms of experience, actually, I think they have more experience than us. They do have Kawaja, and I think Kawaja is one of the best opening batters in the world right now. And that is something that South Africa maybe we don't necessarily have. You know, not saying Aiden is not good, but he hasn't put his place in that position yet. So I think where Australia may have one up on us, I think is experience in the batting. Because in terms of Marnus Lambashane, how Australians say it, um, I would, well, in terms of form, he can kill any team, but in terms of form, he's not there yet, I think. Again, this is my opinion. Don't kill me on it, but it is what it is. But I think Smith and Kawaja is going to be key for Australia. I really think they're going to be key for Australia. But in terms of who's going to win, I'm actually not sure. Honestly, both teams are playing in foreign conditions. Lords, home of cricket. But who has an absolute advantage? No one really. Because bowlers are going to be the ones who's going to win this test match, irregardless how we look at it. There will be a batter who may score 100, but I think everything is going to be within that. There's going to be one batter who will probably do good, but the bowling unit is going to be the key. And you only have one shot at this. You have two, I guess you have two innings, but you only have one shot. There's no 1, 2, 3 test matches. It's just one, which is quite interesting. But I guess ICC needed to make money at some point in test cricket, but it is what it is. So that is the brief take in terms of will Australia or South Africa win. Honestly, I'm patriotic. I really want South Africa to win this, but my cricket brain says I am not sure. Literally, I am not sure who's going to win this. Because at the end of the day, you look at it like KG is the second best bowler in the world. That's great. But now here's another thing. You have Stark, Lionel, Lion, and Cummings, also in the top 10. And then you also have um, Marco Janssen in the top 10. So it's an interesting one. But I do think another person who's going to play a very important role for South Africa, if he does play, it's Vian Mulder. I think Vian Mulder might get the nod because we're in England, because we're in England. And I think Dane Patterson might have been the player, the, the player that gets into the team. But the difference between Dane Patterson and Mulder is the fact that Mulder can bat. So I think Shukri Conrad will want to lengthen his batting lineup and have Vian Mulder instead of Dane Patterson in that number 8 or 7 role. It depends, but I don't think he's going to bat lower than Marco Janssen. So Marco Janssen might be the one who bats at 8. So how do I think the South African team is going to line up? Based on Shukri again, Brian Rickleton opens up with Makram. I think at 3 he sticks with Stubbs. I know there's a lot of talk on that, but mind games. At 4 it's a captain Temba. At 5 is going to be Benningham, David. And then at 6 is going to be Carl Verena. At 7, I would say that's where Vian Mulder is. At 8, you have Marco Janssen. At 9, you have Keshav Maharaj, the vice captain. At 10, you have KG Rabata, and then at 11 you're going to have Lungigit. I think that's a South African lineup. I'm not going to predict Australians. So that's my take on the match that's coming up in the WTC. Who's winning? As I said, I'm on the fence on this one. So be it. So that is my take on that. But now let's move to the other side of things in terms of the crowd. Interesting thing about the WTC is that all 3 of them, including this one, has been played in England. The next one will be played in England. I think the 5th one also will be in England, but the next 2 will be at Lord's. Tickets were sold for the first 4 days, literally within the first week. And that was like over a month before even the first ball will be bowled. So I would presume now all 5 days, if day 5 is not sold out, it's probably close to being sold out. That shows something that South Africans that are in England, Englishmen that love cricket, and Australians that are in England are excited about this. And again, you put it this way, the main, when it comes to South Africa, here's another thing about what makes this match quite interesting. This will be the first time KG goes against Steve Smith since the situation that happened between them in, I think it was in Port Elizabeth, where KG, Steve Smith said KG hit him on his shoulder when he was celebrating his wicket. So that's one. KG being in the situation with the whole drug use and all of that, that's another one. So there's some elements of things within this match per se that will get people more enticed in terms of not just the bowling, not the skills, not just the players themselves. And again, Australians have said people are going to be coming for KG, chirping KG. You can't chirp KG, but again, this is what it's going to be, And now here's another one. We'll see the characters of the other cricketers within the South African team, because once they start chirping KG, how will the rest of the players respond? Aiden Markram is not really a chirper. He's just one of those guys who just speaks what he wants to say. There's no longer Quentin de Kock who just speaks, So again, it's a Temba Bavuma team. Temba is not your type of guy that's going out there and chirp at you. He's not that. He's more the quiet leader. And the team tends to follow its leader. So, but hence I'm saying it's going to be interesting how the other players come out of this because the coach, Shukri, he speaks. Now, how Shukri speaks, some will say he's controversial, believe what you want to believe, but Shukri is not the type of coach who just let things slide. He speaks. So, yeah, I think the crowd is going to be thrilled. I think it's a pity that it's in England. You know, it would have been nice maybe if it was in South Africa. It would have probably been nice if it was in Australia, just to have a non-neutral crowd. But I do think the crowd will be entertained. I think, but when you think about the English crowd, they're not like India. They're not going to be moving up and down from their seats. They'll just be clapping for the nice shots. So that part, the crowd will be sorted. But hopefully there will be more people just going crazy, you know. So it's an exciting it's actually an exciting match when you think about the qualities of the team and the history. And history obviously is with Australia, but recent history is with South Africa. So again, a lot of firsts that will be happening within this specific match per se. So as I said, we are going to be entertained. It's going to be a good match, but again, as I said, my cricket knowledge and the stuff, I don't have. I'm patriotic. I want to say we're going to win, but the reality is it's going to be quite an interesting match. That first morning, whoever wins a toss, it's going to be critical. Whoever wins a toss, chances are they're going to want to bowl first. And if those bowlers make use of those conditions, then that will be the winner. But if let's put it this way, if the bowlers don't make use of the conditions, or the captain that wins and says, I'm going to bowl first or field first, and the bowlers don't actually get the wickets, the team batting first will have the advantage. And again, this is you can't say it's going to be a normal Lord's pitch, because I'm not sure who's going to curate. Because I'm thinking if it's the ICC who's going to curate this, the ICC is going to want a flattish wicket compared to maybe if it was your normal Lord's curator and him using his own um, imperative, like in the sense of about what type of wicket that he wants. But ICC, I think they're going to want runs instead of a test match that ends on day 3. They want maybe a test match that will end on day 5. That's what it is. So hence, I'm saying again, it's really going to be about the bowlers, and the bowlers are really good. So it's important to have a wicket that's not too spicy, because a spicy wicket, that test match or that final will end in 2.5 days. I'm not lying. That final will end up in 2.5 days. But again, as I said, guys, it's going to be a fun match. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Um, I do see, I actually do see there will be a result within the first 5 days. I don't think the batting lineups are that good, but the bowling lineups are that good. So good luck to South Africa and good luck to cricket, especially Test cricket. That is it. So the Proteas women will take on West Indies Caribbean women in Barbados for 3 T20s and 3 ODI matches. So we start on the 11th of June, which is the same day the World Test Championship is actually playing. So I guess CSA is busy. Um, Let me first start with I'm just saying the team. I'm just going to say the team. So it's I think 16-player team. So let's start with the players that will be at the tour. So it's captain Laura Wolfrat, Tasman Brits, Nadine de Klerk, Maya Naismith, Aneri Dirksen, Ayanda Hlubi, Sinalo Jafta, Karabo Meso, Nondomiso Shangase, Chloe Tryon, Marizan Kap, Ayabonga Kaka, Masabata Class, Sune Luce, and Nonkululeko Mlaba. So that's the South African team. And it's a very strong South African team, if I may say that. It's like our first team. And we'll be playing against most likely a weakened West Indies team. And the reason why I say that is that Deandra Dawson, the universe, no, the world boss, she is still injured, recovering from injury. I'm not sure about Chanel Henry, what is her status, but based on how things are going, I don't think she's going to play or participate in the series on the tour. And then the West Indies captain, Hayley Matthews, she has a shoulder injury right now, so she's trying to recover. Again, I'm not sure if she's going to be able to play, but if she does play, she might just play purely as a batter instead of an all-rounder, because again, West Indies need her as a bowler, but her batting has been the one thing that has been making headwaves in international cricket right now. So can South Africa lose a series? No. West Indies needed those three players, and not just those three players, but needed those three players fully fit. Um, but is it going to be a good challenge for South Africa, the series or the tour? Yes, it's going to be a good one. And again, we have a new coach, Mandla Mashimbing. So now with Mandla in the Tri Series, because not so long ago South Africa was in Sri Lanka. You had India and Sri Lanka, and we came third. We didn't make the final. We came third in that, but you could see what the coach wanted to do. He was trying to look at specific combinations in the team. You saw him experiment by putting Anari Dickinson in different places. At some point, she batted before Chloe. At some point, she batted after Chloe. You had Sinalo Jafta batting at 5 or 6. You had Unondumuso Shangase batting in that top 5 as well. And I think Unondumuso Shangase might stay there, especially in the ODI. I think in the 50 over format, I think she might stay there. And again, South Africa now has Marizan Kap, their ace bowler, their ace batter, their ace everything back. So the bowling unit is going to be stronger. I think Ayabonga Kaka becomes a different bowler when Marizan is in the team. Interesting enough, South Africa dropped Laura Goodall. Interesting enough, South Africa dropped was this Seshni Naidu, which was quite interesting for me. I can understand dropping Mulara, but dropping Seshni didn't make sense in the sense of she's a leg spinner. South Africa, we don't have another leg spinner, especially a leg spinner that's knocking into the national team. So she is that player. But it is what it is. So we went with pace. So we have Marizan back. We have Ayanda Hlubi in there. We have Futumi Sekukune. And I'm a big fan of Futumi Sekukune. I think Futumi Sekukune is, for me, man, this player, I'm not gonna say she can bat, but she can bowl, but she can field. You don't see much of pace bowlers that can field in that level, and she is that type of player, especially in the boundaries. She has taken some awesome catches for South Africa over the past since 2018. I think she made a debut in 2018, but she hasn't played much, funny enough. And then you have Ayanda Hlubi. Ayanda Hlubi has paces in there with pace. But the thing about Ayanda Hlubi, I hope she finally gets a confidence to be herself, so where she can actually bowl at the pace that she wants to, because most of the time when players get to the international level, they realize pace is not everything. And then they start doing other things in terms of their skill and learning other skills. But now the problem with that is that they tend to start to bowl slower. So I hope she doesn't get there and she actually becomes well, she gets to bowl faster because we need someone to replace what we've lost from Shabnim Ismail, that pace. There is another player in South African domestic cricket that I'm also a big fan of, who actually bowls quite quick, and that's Caitlin Weingard. Some will say Weingat, but or Weingat. Yeah, I'm practicing my Afrikaans pronunciations, but again, Ayana Hlubi, I think that's going to be her. I think Caitlin is going to be her competition in the team in the long run, but now she has a step ahead than Caitlin, so she has to use this opportunity and actually, you know, make use of it and claim her place in that team. Um, that will also mean that Ayabonga Kaka is probably challenged, but Marizan Cup is going to be there for too long. I don't see Marizan Cup playing for the next 2 years in the team based on age, um, to manage her own body as well. But Ayabonga Kaka, she's not young. I think she's 31, 32. So again, she's probably going to be around for the next 3 years. Masabata class is not going to be there for long as well. I think she's 32 or 33. So South Africa is in transition mode right now, in the sense of they have these players that have been there for a while, especially the pace bowlers, and they need to replace them. And I think this tour is part of that journey. As much as this tour is about the Cricket World Cup that's coming, I think this tour is part of that specific journey. And I think it also helps that we won't be facing a very strong West Indies. So our bowlers will get that confidence, we'll get that confidence. And even though Stephanie Taylor is there, I think Stephanie Taylor is a cricket great. But right now, she is still on recovery mode where she's trying to get her full fitness. So once she gets a full fitness, I think West Indies is going to be a really strong side with obviously Hayley Matthews, Deandra Doughton, Chanel Henry. And another thing, what I'm liking about the South African opposition, which is the West Indies, is that they have some really good young players that are exciting, like Zayda James, Claxton, Greenmond, and Glasgow. I think General Glasgow. So those four young players, then you add the more seasoned players. It's West Indies is in a healthy process of rebuilding, and again, they also need someone to take over from Stephanie Taylor. And the question is, who's that going to be? Because again, with Stephanie Taylor, she was doing exactly what Hayley Matthews was doing for the West Indies. She used to bowl, she used to bat. But due to injuries, Stephanie Taylor now only bats. And they lost that spinner. Maybe Zayda James will be that player. We'll see, because she's a good bowler. But against England, she struggled to get wickets, but she didn't struggle to get Danny Wyatt Hodges' wicket. She got Danny Wyatt 3 times in the T20s, and those are the only wickets that she got. Actually, the only wickets she got in the whole tour. So South Africa has no reason to lose this series against West Indies. For the betterment of the quality of cricket, I hope Hayley Matthews recovers, but I don't see her being 100%, and it won't make sense for Hayley to want to play these matches if she's injured. I understand that in terms of I understand that West Indies have not qualified for the World Cup, so Hayley won't have many opportunities to play for West Indies, but there's still the CPL, there's the WPBL in the coming future, there's the 100, not too far. So we want her to play in those tournaments. So again, it's not that I don't want Hayley to play, but I don't want her to be injured. Because once she gets injured, the recovery may be longer. Ah, or maybe she's there for the T20s. I'm not sure, but I don't see South Africa again losing this series. I'm excited to see how Aneri Dickinson goes. Player of the month, ICC Player of the Month, Chloe Tryon, month of May. So I'm also interested in see how she again develops, because it's been a while since we've seen this type of Chloe. The 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 Chloe that played in those, especially in those last two matches, one match against India, one match against Sri Lanka in that tri series, tri nations. Oh man, it has been a while since we've seen that type of hitting from Chloe. So I hope that Chloe pitches up in the West Indies. I hope that Chloe pitches up at the World Cup, because if that Chloe pitches up at the World Cup, then South Africa, oh man, we can beat England. We can go par for par with Australia. We can beat India. That is just my take. If that Chloe is there. If that Chloe is not there, then damn. Again, as I said, we need that up. We need Chloe. She plays a specific role, because now her role has been given to Anari Dickinson, and I do feel Dickinson is our future number 3. I think in the longer run she should be batting at 3. Maybe when Sune decides to bat full time at 5, maybe. So I think in the future, Dirksen will be the one that's batting at 3 or 4. For me, she is a 3, or 4, not a 6, not a 7. And now the question is, where does Marizanne come in? I think Marizanne in the ODI, she can bat at 6. I think Marizanne in the ODI can bat at 5. But then we have another problem. We have Sune. If Sune is batting at 4, Marizanne is batting at 5. And then you have Tryon batting at 6. That's the team. But then again, Umbekapi, where does Shangasi bat? So we are in a good spot in terms of South African cricket, because there is Annika Bosch as well on the sidelines. She's recovering from injury. I think if she was not injured, she would literally be in the team as well. So as I say that South Africa is in a good spot, I do think that we're going to win the series. There's not much to say. Laura will be going against this person. Chloe will be going against this person. Marizanne will be going against this person, because the disparities between the two teams, one team is quite weakened, one team is quite strong right now, and they're preparing again, as I said, for the World Cup. Had things have changed for West Indies, then I would be like, Marizanne is going against Chanel Henry. Chloe is going against a good friend, Hayley Matthews. Deandra Doughton is probably going against Anari Dirksen. And then, and then you obviously have your young players like your Zayda James. Your Zayda James probably will go against Mayani Smith. So you have your Sune Lees. Sune Lees will be going against Stephania Taylor. And you have your Tasman Brits. Tasman Brits are probably going against Kiana Josephs. They're both big hitters. On their day, they can do damage to the bowling lineup. So I can go on and on that. Snalo Jafta going against Shemaine Campbell. Yes, because at the end of the day, both the players, they tend to not be consistent. But as I said, had the West Indies team been strong, then I would say, okay. But it's a weakened West Indies team, so there's not much for South Africa to say we want these matchups. we're hoping for these matchups. I think for South Africa, this is about boosting their confidence, not egos per se, but boosting their confidence. It's a confidence tour at this point. Um, for West Indies, it's about rebuild. As I spoke about those four youngsters, it's about the rebuild. So I think those four youngsters can be the core for West Indies for the next 10 years. And their captain, Haley, I think Haley's 24. So she's young as well. So they're going to grow with Haley. Um, and then you probably add a few other players there. So again, West Indies is in good hands. But specifically for this tour per se, South Africa takes it. I can battle anyone with that one. So that was my take per se on this one. But I think South Africans are excited to see Marizanne back in the team. You're gonna hear a lot of commentators speaking on the greatness of Marizanne. But I don't think Marizanne will play all the games. I think the coach might say, Marizanne, you're gonna play 2 matches in the 50 over format and 2 matches in the T20 format, because again, there's not much the coach is getting. He already knows where he wants Marizanne. So yeah, I wish I was in Barbados. Cape Town is cold. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents as sent in that series. So we'll see how the team goes, and then once the series finishes, and then we'll do a review on it. That's it. So hopefully people play well, and good luck to both teams. I do know for a fact that it's going to be good cricket. Even though West Indies may be weakened, it's going to be good cricket. Again, look at those four young players that I spoke about. They're going to bring problems. South Africa will win, though. South Africa will win. Good luck to the teams, and hopefully quality cricket comes out and prevails. Thanks for tuning in to The Leading Edge with Saint, the Pulse of Cricket podcast, proudly produced by Roundly Podcast Studio in partnership to bring you the stories and the voices of cricket. Until next time, stay on the leading edge of the game.